Window cleaning. What is it? Why do we do it? And who wants it done? It's removing dirt from windows because people pay us money to do it, and basically anyone who wants clean windows. We're gonna start by going over our gear. On my tool belt, I have my bucket on a belt. I have a large strip washer and two different size squeegees, larger windows, medium-sized windows. On my tool belt, I have two more squeegees for smaller windows. I have 3 towels, 2 screwdrivers, one Phillips head, one flathead, a small strip washer, a 1-inch razor blade scraper, a dry piece of quadruple aught steel wool, a wet piece of quadruple aught steel wool, and tucked in back, a larger 6-inch razor blade scraper. You'll want to start by making sure you have good rubber on your squeegees. So I'm going to take off the old rubber. Take my flathead screwdriver, and there are brass clips holding in the rubber. I pop with the flathead, I just pop it out like that. Pull off one end, and sometimes, but not always, I have a second one. I would just do the same thing with the second one. And I'll throw away that old rubber. Take out my 1-inch scraper. I'm going to line up the new rubber with my squeegee so that I have about 1/8 of an inch of rubber hanging off each end of my squeegee channel. And then I press down and make a cut, and I end up with rubber just like that. Slide it into the channel, and when I get to about that point, I put my brass clip back on the rubber. It's about 1/8 of an inch hanging off, and just slide it back in. So now I have new rubber on my squeegee. All right, let's get to work. Just filling up outside. On a fall or winter day when the weather's kind of cold, we might ask to borrow a customer's sink or bathtub. Gonna dunk my strip washers in the bucket. Give them a shake so they're not too sloppy. And I just put a little line of dish soap down each side of the strip washer. I'm not even squeezing the soap bottle. I'm just letting it run out in a very small, thin line down my strip washer. Just let it come right out and do the other side. And for soap, I am using an all-natural dish soap. You can use 7th generation, anything you want, but you want to use an all-natural dish soap because when we dump out our bucket at the end of the day, it doesn't pollute anything. I don't really care too much about the environment, but living in Seattle, a lot of our customers do, and this is a very simple way to earn some great brownie points with the clientele. Let's get going. For this tall bay window here, I have my 6-foot ladder set up to where I can clean the top half of this quite easily. I'm going to do it in two positions. I'm going to start up here with my strip washer and just soap up the window, the top half. Now this is what is getting rid of the dirt, the scrubbing. So you want to give it a little bit of force, and if you see some extra dirt up in the corner, you can use your wet steel wool and kind of scrub it. Or if it may be paint or something more substantial, use your 1-inch scraper and just clean it up. Now to clean the window, I usually keep a towel in my left hand. Make sure my squeegee's dry. Don't grab your rubber, just take it across nice and easy. And with just the corner of my squeegee, I'm going to cut a line across the top of the window, just like that. So there's about a 1/2 inch of dry window. I'm going to dry off that corner and just do a straight pull with my squeegee, top to bottom, just like that. There, we've got a clean half a window. Now for this side where there's soapy water, we're going to angle our squeegee slightly where the left side is higher than the right side, because if it's angled that way, soapy water is going to run off the right side, the right end of our squeegee into the clean area. So we're going to do it like this, with the right side slightly lower than the left side, so the water is running off to the left by the edge of the window. So I'm going to take my towel, just wrap 2 fingers around it, and dry the edges. Just like that. All right. I see there's some paint here, a little glob on the window. So I'm going to take my 1-inch scraper, make sure it's dry. Just get rid of that real quick. All right, for the lower half of this window, I'm going to soap it up. Make sure my squeegee's dry. And we're gonna, instead of cutting a dry edge with the corner of the squeegee, I can also use just my finger with the towel wrapped around it. And I'm gonna do the same sort of thing with a straight pull, just going side to side, and I'm going to angle it like that so the water runs off down here, because if I angle it like that, the water is going to run off into the clean half of the window. Just like that. And the deep window well won't let me pull it all the way to the side. So here's what. Now I just have a small strip. So I'm going to take one of my smaller squeegees and pull that over. Now we're left with this strip of soapy water. So I'm just going to take a clean squeegee, dry squeegee, small one, and just pull it top to bottom. I might end up with a small bit of soapy water, but I can just get that with my towel. There we go. The windowsill, we don't want to leave our soapy water on the windowsill. So I'm just going to take my towel and clean that off. There we go. Clean window. I I can also use an extension pole to soap up my window and clean it. And I can do a couple windows at a time. As long as the soap isn't drying on me, I can soap up as many windows as I want at once to save time. Pull it down. You can save as much time as you want, but never sacrifice quality for the time you're saving. Then we're gonna get the lower halves of these two windows. Cut my edge and then just straight pull it across, just like that. Dry my squeegee, pull it across. Get this lower strip, and then top to bottom, dry my squeegee, pull it down like that, and that last little bit I'll just get with my towel. Same thing over here. And I'm gonna dry my edges of both windows. There. We cleaned two windows much faster than we cleaned this first one. So once you have the straight pull method down, you can pick up speed by doing what we call a figure-8 motion for window cleaning. Take my squeegee. I don't even have to dry it off for this. I start like somewhere down in the soap. I raise it up to the top left corner, leading with the top of the squeegee. I always want to make sure the soapy water runoff is going back down into the water. Over to the right hand corner, bring it down, up and down, and I'm just eliminating the soap like that. It can be much faster than doing a straight pull. So faster, it looks like this. Like that. And then I dry off my edges. And I'm going to do the same thing for the lower part of this window. I'm going to start down somewhere in the soap. It doesn't matter where. I can start here, I can start down over here, and you just rise up out of the soap and back down, and now you've started. You can just finish it like normal. And I'm gonna pull my soapy water into a vertical line right where this white divider is. So I can just use my towel and clean that right there. So there can't be any evidence of a line of vertical soapy water on the window. And I dry the sill off. There we go. That's the figure 8 method. All right, cleaning a second floor window. We're going to raise our ladder to where we want. These are our standoffs on the ladder. So where we want the standoffs to be. I want it right there with the standoffs just below the window. And our uneven ground, we have our adjustable feet here. You want to bring that in, see how the feet work. So if we want to shorten the leg of the ladder here, there are these 3 metal plates right here. You're just going to step on that and it'll lower the foot. Now to lengthen and get it longer, I'm going to put it back where I want the standoffs, and I'm just going to stomp on the top of it right here. That's how we extend it. Also, if you're not certain about your ground, let's say you're on gravel or really loose dirt, you can take one of your screwdrivers or both and just push it down in the ground right behind your foot for added stability. Then away we go. Always work top to bottom. I'm going to clean this one before I clean this one. This window's a little extra dirty, so I'm going to take my wet steel wool and scrub it down. This is just removing kind of excessive dirt from the window. If your soap kind of dried out, if it's a hot day, you can just soap it up again. Figure 8. I'm going to go all the way to the corner and then back, and if there's anything you miss while doing a figure 8, you can always just go back for it. See? Bottom of my squeegee jumped the curb and left about 2 inches of water down here at the bottom. I can just take my small squeegee and get rid of that. And clean up anything with a towel if we need to. Dry our edges. Just like that. This screen has a plastic, the window frame has a plastic lip on it. So this, I can't take this screen off from the outside. It has to be done from the inside. So we'll clean this half of the window. Soap it up. You notice I'm going over it a few times just to make sure it's scrubbed well and thoroughly. And I dried off my squeegee before starting this figure eight, not because I had to, but just because of force of habit. Pull off to the side. There we go. It's done. Dry our edges. We don't want any drips running down the sill later, so we're going to clean that up as well. And come on down. And do a look at your window from different angles and make sure everything looks good before you come all the way down. You don't want to leave anything behind and then have to go back and get it later. Let's head up to the roof and take care of the skylight. So this skylight is plexiglass and it's domed. So I won't be cleaning it with a squeegee. I won't be scrubbing excess dirt with my steel wool. That'll scratch the plexiglass. So what we're going to do for this is clean it with our foaming spray cleaner, Sprayway, and what used to be a white scrub pad. You find these in any hardware store right next to the quadruple aught steel wool. So I'm going to spray our skylight and pretty much cover the whole surface area. My white scrub pad, and make sure to get all the corners, get rid of all that dirt. If there's any moss growing on the frame of the skylight, you want to get that as well. And I'm just going to scrub the whole thing. Okay. And we're just going to take a towel and wipe it clean. And you want to keep wiping until you don't see any streaks or vapor trails forming behind your towel as you clean. It should just be nice and shiny everywhere your towel goes. And then we're all done. So we're going to clean the inside of this window. I'm going to start by removing any knickknacks there might be and try to keep track of where they go. Now, the right half of this window has a screen on it that doesn't come off from the outside. If I wanted to take the screen off, here are the pull tabs, and all opposite the pull tabs, you're going to have springs. And so I want to press, the springs are going to be on the left-hand side here. I'm going to press against the springs, and you see when I do that, it frees up some room here on the right-hand side. So now it's really easy to just take the screen out when you press on the springs. The reason why you want to press on the springs, if you just grab the tabs, usually these are plastic and brittle and they're cooked in the sun and they just break off, and you don't want to break people's tabs. Avoid touching the tabs altogether if you can. Alright, if you're unable to clean the outside of a window from the outside, here's what you do. Slide the moving pane over to the left, and we're going to lift it up, and the bottom will just pop out. Be careful you don't scuff up the windowsill when you do that. You're going to have a towel on the floor here. I'm just going to set the window right on that towel. Take another towel and lay it across the top because you don't want to damage the paint on the wall when you press on the window. And now we can clean it just like normal. Soap it up. Steel wool any excess dirt. When scrubbing with steel wool, I usually frame the border and then fill in the middle of the window, just scrubbing it. And dry our edges. Now, the harder part, cleaning the outside of the stationary pane on this window. Alright, we're going to clean the outside of the window. I'm going to get some extra reach by using my left leg, kind of hold on here. And this windowsill is actually a bit painful to sit in because of the track on the window, so I'm going to take a towel and roll it and use that for some added cushion. Look at the window thoroughly, make sure you did a good job because you don't want to come back and do this again. I can't quite reach that far edge to dry the edge, so what I'm going to do is take my long squeegee, wrap a towel around it, and just use that. And I can dry the edge just like that without stretching too far to a dangerous limit. Now, getting back down is always graceful. Going down and clip my bucket on a belt, just like so. All right, let's pop the window back in. You want to make sure you have it positioned correctly. I know that this is the exterior surface of the window because I can see the inner mechanics of the latch. So you don't want to be able to see that. So we're going to turn it around. Now the latch is on the left side toward the center of the window, and this lip for sliding it open and shut is on the right hand side. I know this is the inside. So we're going to put it up. Slide the top in first, push it up, the bottom will follow. There you go. I also noticed that the latch mechanics are coming loose. I've got a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm just going to tighten that up in case a customer might think I broke it or I am for some reason to blame for why that latch is loose. Now it's nice and tight. You can avoid any future problems. I'm going to put the screen back in also. it, you just reverse the steps from when you took it out. Put the springs in first, push against the springs, slide the right hand side in, nice and easy. So for cleaning the inside of this window, let's say instead of curtains or drapes, this half of the window was obstructed by a large shelving unit or something like that, like if it was in a garage. Well, that's not a problem for these sliding windows. You can just move it to a spot where it's easier to clean. I'm going to lay a towel down to catch any drips. Cut an edge, kind of do a figure 8. For the left half of this window, on a hot summer day, if the soap was drying faster than you can clean it off, like you soaped it up and then the soap just instantly dried on you and you didn't have a chance to squeegee it in time, you can do the two-handed technique, where you have your strip washer in your left hand and you're trailing it with your squeegee in your right hand. You basically do a figure 8 with both hands simultaneously. There you go. We need to scrape off some excessive dirt on a window. But this window is tempered glass. You can see that writing right there on the glass. It means don't use a razor blade. That's what tempered glass means. You're gonna scratch it. You can see a lot of scratches in this window already from the previous homeowner's dog scratching it with its toenails. So if you have excessive dirt on a window that is tempered glass, you're just going to soap up where there's fingerprints, dog noses, anything like that. And we got to use steel wool to get rid of it. Or you can use a 1-inch razor blade while the glass is wet. And that, for some reason, isn't going to scratch it. It's just the magic of window cleaning for some reason. But never use your 6-inch razor blade on tempered glass. So, when do we use our 6-inch razor blade? This kitchen window, right above the sink, has lots of splatters on it, soap scum from doing dishes, and things like that. It's not tempered glass. We don't see that written anywhere in the corners of the window. And also a general rule for tempered glass is if a window goes down lower than your knees, that's going to be tempered glass. This one is just a normal kitchen window. It's not going to be tempered, but always check the corners to see if you're good to go. So I'm going to soap it up, get out my 6-inch razor blade, and it's kind of the opposite of doing straight pulls. I'm going to cut a section at the bottom of the window and then go bottom to top, scraping off all the excessive soap and water splatters. after you do that, you can just clean it like normal. I'm also a little bit shorter than a lot of window cleaners, so to clean that top, dry that top edge, I'm going to wrap a towel around my squeegee. There we go. All right. One thing that you need to keep an eye out when you're looking at homes doing an estimate is paying attention to see if there are storm windows on it. A storm window is basically a second window that's put on top of the house window to better insulate for winter. So you can tell this one has storm windows because of these turn buttons here that are holding it onto the house. You typically won't see that on a window. So that's a dead giveaway that this is a storm window, and I need to ask the customer if they want their storm windows removed and cleaned and put back on the house. If they say no, I would just bid this like a normal window. If they say yes, please take off the storm window and clean it, it's $15 per storm is our standard fee. If there's a large storm window, it could be $20, $25, and some storm windows are so heavy they require multiple workers to get the window off and on safely. So those storm windows could be $50 or more. So I'm just going to unscrew these turn buttons and loosen them. And this storm window is pretty light, so it's not too hard to take off. I'm gonna put my flathead right in front of where the turn button is. That way if for some reason I were to scuff the frame, the turn button would cover that. So we're just going to do that to where we can grab it, and the storm window comes off just like that. So now you can see there's still a window here, a single pane window. So for winter seasons, the storm window basically makes a single pane window into a double pane window. So we want to make extra certain that this window is perfect, because if we put the storm window back on and then realize there's a mistake, you've got to take that storm window off again. So double check, triple check your work. Make sure everything looks great before you move on. Next, we're going to clean the inside of the storm window. This storm window is so thin and light, it's going to bend a lot and bow. So just make sure, if you can kind of keep the window as rigid as possible, you won't have any streaks left behind. We're going to clean it just like so. Again, same principle as the window on the house. We have to make sure that everything looks perfect so that we don't have to take the storm window off a second time. I See a fingerprint on this. I'm gonna make sure, yep, it's on the outside that hasn't been cleaned yet. So I'm gonna turn this around, and before I clean the outside, I'm gonna put it back on the house, because that way I don't have to worry about my fingerprints. I can touch this as much as I want to help me in getting the storm window back on the house. Oh. And there we go. And there are about a dozen different varieties and designs of storm windows. So this isn't always, this type of storm window with the turn buttons won't always be what you see, but this is probably the most common variety of storm window. So you can see how much more time it takes to clean a storm window, and that's why we charge a fair amount more. Make sure that turn button's tight. Okay, and that's how you clean a storm window. Okay, so when we're bidding window cleaning, we kind of have to think about what constitutes one window. One window we clean inside and out for $6, but what is one window? This window up here has 3 panes of glass. That one down there has 2. That one has 2 smaller ones. And the sliding doors over here, that's 2 large panes of glass. So what counts as one window? I like to think of it as whatever you can get from one position on your ladder or one standing position, that counts as one window. So this top one here, where it's 3 panes, the top half circle piece of glass I would count as one window. The left pane we had to remove from the inside to clean the outside of because the screen doesn't come off. So that would be one window. And then we hang out the window to clean the outside of this one. That's a window. So even though this is 3 panes of glass all kind of next to each other, I would count that as 3 windows. Down here we have the same thing with the screen. That screen doesn't come off from the outside, so that's going to be 2 windows. This one here, it's a bit smaller. Even though the screen doesn't come off, I would still probably call that one window because it's pretty small for a kitchen window. And we've got 2 more in the basement window, in the window well. And then the sliding doors, that would be 2 windows. So on the back side of this house, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 windows. And we have, so that's $60 to clean inside and out. And how many screens do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 screens. We always wipe the screens off, so we count it for $1. So this is $64 for the back of this house to clean inside and out. Let's move around to the front. All right, so for the front of this house, I've got to think about how do I clean this window. If you remember, I had a 6-foot ladder, and I can get about the top 2/3 of this window in one ladder position, but I can get the 2 of the lower thirds from one position. So I would probably count this as 1, 2, 3 windows. 2 of these, 3 windows. Same thing over here. So we're up to 6 windows. 7 in the basement, 8, 9 for the screen door. 1, 2, 3 more up there, so we're up to 12. 13, 14 down there. So 14 windows on the front of the house. That's $84 plus 1, 2, 3, 4 screens. $88. So 64 plus 84, that's 152. 152, and we have a skylight on top. That's $15 inside and out. So that's $167 to clean the windows on this house inside and out. I like to keep things in multiples of 5, so I might tell the customer $170 to clean this house inside and out for the windows. All right.